Hello, and welcome to the Kaidankai, where we read a story about the supernatural every week. I'm your host, Linda Gould, and I'm so happy to present today's story, The Difference by E.F. Crabtree. When people visit Japan, and especially Kyoto, they really want to see a geisha or a maiko. Well, actually, I guess not just those who visit, even those who live here want to see one of Japan's famous cultural icons. To see a geisha or maiko, which is a geisha in training, it's like glimpsing the past. Most Japanese wear kimono only for special occasions, so seeing someone modern, adopt, and keep alive the traditional culture, it's a highlight for any visitor or resident. In The Difference, E.F. Crabtree details a part of the geisha and maiko life that really opened my eyes. I don't think many people know of this. E.F. Crabtree is an artist and writer based in Buffalo, New York. Oh, I just heard that Buffalo got hit with several feet of snow. Wow, I hope you're okay out there. Anyway, she co-founded Kyoto Cryptids, a literature and arts magazine about Kyoto. You can find her contact information and her full bio in the episode description. Today's story is short for all you Americans listening over Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you for including the Kaidankai in your holiday. Here's The Difference by E.F. Crabtree. Enjoy. Come on, it's this way, my friend Kichiro said, leading me away from the bar he always took dates. Was this a date? I wasn't sure. We wandered away from the crowds of Gion towards Miyagawa-cho, which the guidebooks described as a must-see geisha neighborhood. The dark cobblestone streets grew narrower, and each wooden machiya building we passed started to blur together. "If we're lucky, we'll see some tonight," he whispered excitedly, like a fanboy. "A geisha with her maiko." What's the difference?" I asked. I had been to a museum earlier that had many beautiful kimonos, but all the new information was just swimming around in my head. "Seriously? There's a ton of differences," he said, then trailed off before he dove into an explanation. He loved acting like a tour guide for English teachers in this area. Then, suddenly, on the path ahead of us, a pair of women seemingly appeared out of the inky darkness, one older and one younger, carefully dressed in traditional Japanese finery. Could that be them, I wondered? The older one, dressed more simply than the other, looked on proudly at the younger maiko, dressed more regally and covering her face with her sleeves. Slowly, the maiko lowered her floor-length sleeves, which revealed her face. As she lowered her sleeves further, her jaw followed along with it, wider and wider, until it was inhumanely lower. Finally, it unhinged with a sickening crack. Her older companion nodded approvingly. Every instinct in my body told me to run, but I stared ahead like I was hypnotized as the younger one slid towards me. Her green silken furisode extended until it was impossibly long behind her, trailing behind her body like a train trails a wedding dress. Before I knew it, she was right in front of me. The silken scales of her form coiled against mine, her body much colder than I anticipated, but her eyes were warm. She peered deeply into my face. Her brown eyes became all I could see. Brown, a sea of brown. Down, down. I was falling down into them. She held me, but I was falling further inside myself, squeezing me closer. It was uncomfortably so, but not unbearable. She's put some kind of spell over me, I thought, dreamily. But I don't mind. This wasn't so bad. Tighter and tighter she squeezed, deeper and deeper into her eyes I fell, until I heard a loud snap from my neck. I hit the wet ground with a dull thud. which I heard but could not feel. Why can't I feel it, I wondered. Her eyes, now a beady black, finally left mine as she moved towards my sneaker-clad feet. The warmth I felt dissipated, and I felt completely numb inside. I couldn't feel what she was doing, but she moved my body little by little, like she was struggling to get into a sleeping bag for what seemed like an eternity. My eyes began to glaze, but the geisha and Kichiro were just standing there watching. This was the evening's entertainment. Finally, her unhinged jaw passed over my head, and I could see no more. The last sound I heard was my friend, Kichiro, chuckling as he said, "Geisha prefer to eat their prey in pieces, while Maiko just swallow it whole." Neither of them like to play with their food, I thought, sardonically, wishing I could say it out loud as my last words. What a creative perspective. I have to admit that E.F. Crabtree's irreverence for the geisha and Maiko kind of surprised me, because geisha and Maiko are so beautiful, they're so elegant, and their entire existence is to serve and please their customers. So I love the little twisted perspective that they feed on those customers too. Thank you for listening today. Next week's story is also set in Japan, this time during the pandemic. An aging artist and his beautiful young model interact in ways that aren't completely healthy. As always, please review the podcast, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now Mastodon. All the information is in the podcast and episode descriptions. So thank you for listening today, and I'll see you next week.